Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the upper tier, and it's Thursday, which means only one thing: Thursday tier talk. I am joined by my co-host Darren, who seems fairly happy today. How are we, Darren?
I'm very happy, Niall. Thursday also means it's bin night. So you take the bins out in this house on a Thursday night because Friday morning when you wake up, they're gone. The rubbish fairies have been and picked up all the rubbish. It's great crack. So you have to put the bins out on a Thursday night, and then Friday is the last day of camp. So on a Thursday evening, Darren goes and does a little shop, and you get a lot of sweets and prizes for Friday. So I like Thursdays. So I'm alright with Thursdays. If I got to be honest with you, they're one of the better
Yeah,
days of my week.
yeah. I'm the opposite routine. I'm a day back. I put the bins go out on a Wednesday for Thursday, so I'm a day back from you. So yeah, it's not too bad.
I might, and I might have something a little cheeky in that tonight. That might be
Little
making me a
Jameson
little bit,
might be a
little
bit
black barrel,
hyper.
nice little.
Black barrel mixed with a little bit of golden delicious, a little bit of apple.
Oh, mm.
Nice. Very, very nice. Just what the body asks for.
It's just
I'm
whispering in my
still,
ear there. It's lovely.
yeah, I'm still a little bit
Shh,
under the weather
Jesus,
here.
he's off
But
already.
just
Look at this one. Holy
this lad
Jesus!
is on fire. Morris in the chat. Thoughts on Ronaldo wanting to join a club with more ambition, Darren?
I'm obviously not biting on that one, am I?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
I wouldn't have thought so. No,
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
too old of a cat to be bugged by a kitten, Morris. You have to come with me a little better than that, pal. What do you think you're dealing with here? El Nino on the Chelsea roar. Go easy there, will you?
Yeah, absolutely. What? I mean, I suppose before we get into the show and stuff like that and all as well, make sure you are smashing up those likes and subscribe button and all that bell notification and all
Absolutely.
that good stuff. We did a show the other night with 140 people on it at one stage, and we had 7 likes, people, 7 likes. We need a lot more than that if we're going
140
to
people
break
on
the
it and 7
back.
likes. That's
Yeah,
awful. That's
need to
5%.
break
Let
the
me match
back.
there.
Yeah, we need to slap up this YouTube algorithm now, folks. So you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. Morris came back in and says he knows you would like that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is different level, Morris. When you're coming at my co-host, different level. You want to come both barrels loaded if you're coming at Darren with that kind of good
Absolutely.
one.
And expect that you're going to need a helmet straight after.
Absolutely. I suppose we'll start with the comment then, Ronaldo. We're no better place to start, I suppose. What you thinking on the situation at the moment? It's a strange one, isn't it?
It is a strange situation, isn't it? It's a really strange situation. I mean, like, obviously, last year we bring him in on a 2-year deal with the option of a third. Uh, Things don't go the way he was hoping, obviously, with Champions League football and stuff like that. But to think he could just walk into the club and say, listen, I want out, like, you know, it's a bit mental.
Mm,
It's a bit
yeah,
mental. It's a bit naive from him and George Mendes, isn't it? Really, to think they're gonna just walk into Old Trafford and say, "Listen, we want out because you didn't make Champions League," and expect United to roll over and be tickled. I mean, I read something that apparently he wants to leave on loan and he wants United to play 100% of his wages wherever he goes. So we're really, really gonna bear the brunt of this. Like that's a crazy deal for United. That is absolutely mental. That's akin to what Romelu Lukaku is doing at Inter at the minute. And I had enough to say about that. So I can't just jump all over Chelsea and Lukaku, and then when it's in my own backyard, go, no, it's all right, sure. No, not at all. And if United
yeah,
bow down to this, it sets a precedent as well. I'd be telling them, listen, enjoy the 23s because that's where you're going unless you're gonna pull up your socks and put a shift in. When he was
mm,
signed, he was signed with utmost good faith that he would go out and do their best last season, and that's what they did. Now things didn't work out
mm,
the way they planned. This is football. If you're a little bit off it nowadays, there's always somebody looking to rob that spot on the ladder, in the table and stuff like that. So he's got to be a big boy about this. And we talked about. I spoke to another couple of United fans today about it. And you talk about his legacy and stuff like that. This leaves Ronaldo's legacy on the floor for me, if I'm honest. I don't have any sort of goodwill towards a guy who would treat the club like that, and and hold him to ransom and try and bully his way out the door. As far as I know, Ronaldo, if he wants to, can buy his way out of the deal, but he has to buy his way out, and then he'll be compensated by wherever he goes. If that's what he wants. Now, he maybe doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to, upset the fans. But let's be honest, you've upset the fans enough with how you've gone about things and not going on the tour and arriving late and rocking up at your agent and stuff like that. So it's a struggle.
Morris back in. Serious question though: do United need a striker?
Absolutely. Whether Ronaldo stays or goes, they need a striker for my money.
Yeah.
Again, spoke about it earlier on. I think in the wide positions we're covered relatively well. You've got Sancho, Rashford, you got Elanga, you got Garnacho, you got Martial who can play wide as well. You've got Martial who can play through the middle and has played through the middle. You've got Bruno who can play as a false nine. You've got maybe Eriksen in behind and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. But I don't want to hang my hopes on United season with Anthony Martial as our only striker to say, you know what I mean? That wouldn't excite me. We definitely,
especially if it goes a bit sour, then you have a real problem, haven't you?
Yeah, we definitely need a central striker. I see Morris has said he hasn't seen the link with anyone central. We have been linked, and apparently we hold an interest in the boy Sesko, who Liverpool fans may remember from last night. He did a nice number on you in the first 45 minutes, scored a goal, but also played very, very well. Now this kid's 6'4", and he's 19 years of age. So I mean, a guy like that could do serious damage in a team like United for the next 6 to 8 years. I don't
know if you've seen Salzburg's Twitter, but they're absolutely brilliant on Twitter. Whoever controls Salzburg's Twitter, they come out with some great stuff. They were talking about that CSGO thing, and they were saying, no problem, United, 300 million plus Bruno and Fred and all this kind of thing. They come out with some great stuff,
I think they've mentioned, not the Twitter page, but I think the club themselves, Salzburg, have mentioned a fee and a figure already, haven't they? Yeah. I've seen 50 million bandied about. Now listen, spend 50 on Martial. I certainly don't be funny, Morris. Now, again, I'm not biting on that one. I don't see the issue with going out and paying 50. If you thought that kid was going to be able to do a job for the next 6, 7, 8 years, he's probably, I would say, in United terms, about a year or two, a little bit green. We'd like him at 21, 22 when he's got a few more years under his belt and done a little more, improved a little more. But again, the case is, if he goes from Salzburg to Leipzig, which, we know the link exists, obviously, with them being two Red Bull clubs. If he goes to Leipzig, what's it going to take you to get him out of there? 90?
Yeah, it's going to be big money. Mark, our resident referee. Mark's in the chat there. Evening, lads. Definitely need another striker. CSGO, good player, only 18. Good at holding up the ball as well as goal scoring. Yeah, he looked really, really good yesterday as a player against Liverpool and stuff like that. So nothing to be taken away from him there. I thought he was very, very impressive yesterday. Morris back in the chat as well. 40 goals last year. I take him at Arsenal.
Still talking about Mitrovic.
He's talking about Mitrovic, yeah.
He's talking about Mitrovic. I think possibly at Arsenal, Mitrovic would work slightly better than at United. Because I think, although United don't have a focal point, and I understand what Morris is saying, I would certainly not. I wouldn't have an issue with a guy in the Mitrovic mold, let's say.
Yeah.
But I'd like someone a little more mobile. I don't think he's unbelievably mobile, and I think at times, we've seen him with the red mist and stuff like that. He can be very, very aggressive. The last thing we need is a guy swinging an elbow and losing for 3 games, and you're missing out a Champions League spot. He proved that Newcastle, that the Premier League was a little bit of a stretch for him. Again, we've seen him in international football. He's looked unbelievable. We've seen him in the Championship. He's looked very good. I think it's a pace thing. I think it's a pace, and I think it's a decision-making thing at speed that, maybe you have the time in the Championship, maybe the time in international football, maybe you don't quite have that time in the Premier League. In saying that, though, if anything happens any of my front three in fantasy football, he is somebody I'll look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Great show. Let's get on and talk about Stevie. Stevie's list released, got out into the ether, as they say.
Yeah.
The listing of the fines and all that kind of stuff. It was an interesting one, insofar as some of the fines that are out there. I mean, I wonder, is this what you would typically think is the norm, or is this something different, or what do you
No, this
think?
is the norm.
This is the norm. So you would see this across a
I've
lot of clubs.
I've had it before at junior clubs.
Yeah.
We had fines at Raheen United and we had fines at Colester United. And like the fine, the Colester were proper heavy. Like considering we're amateur footballers and some of the lads maybe were only working part time if they were young lads, and we had two lads come back from the States who after been on scholarships, and they came back and they didn't necessarily have jobs and stuff like that just yet, and they were doing a bit of college and whatever, and like they were involved in the fines, and the fines were hefty. You could rack up 20 to 30 quid in fines really easy.
Sorry.
In a week.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this here. Like, this is like, it's kind of like the penalty points for driving and stuff like that. You could rack up a bunch of these just in a day.
Absolutely.
Just by dropping your guard at all and stuff like that. So yeah,
really,
it's interesting.
Really simple thing to happen, right? Let's say your alarm goes off on a Sunday morning, right?
Yeah.
And you're late. It doesn't go off even, or you don't hear it, or whatever. It happens all before, right? You jump up out of the bed, and maybe you throw gear on because you want to get to the ground as quick as you can. Now I'm talking about this from my point of view, right? I get there, maybe I'm 5 minutes late. I'm hit with the fine, right? For being late. I'm probably hit with the fine because I don't have the right gear on me. That maybe I've rocked up without my club tracksuit on or something like that. He might hit me up for something else all of a sudden. So this I know with what they used to do, there was two different ways of doing it. I think at Raheny, when the fines came in, they used to take it and they would give it to a charity. Yeah. So all the money that the first team raised in a season for the charity would go to St. Francis Hospice or whatever it was. I know at Colester it was done slightly different. I know all the fines went in. Captain was collecting fines and stuff like that. They all went into a kitty, which we would then take with us on the end of the season wherever we went to. Yeah. So it would be like a pot for gargle or for a trip away or whatever it was. But like, it's the
how did it work? How did it work in your own experience in terms of, did you get was there a lot of pushback on it or stuff like that? Like, were lads just told, listen, you're late, you're getting fined 20 quid or 10 quid or whatever it is? Was there just a general across the board acceptance of it, or would guys push back and go, come on, gaffer, blah 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 blah?
No. Sir, listen, here's the thing: the guys that it would affect most would go back and go, like, if he says to me, it's 20 quid every time you're late. For me, I couldn't give a fiddler's because I'm there half an hour before we're supposed to be there anyway. Because I'm a goalkeeper and I'm walking around the changing room, checking what the fucking cobwebs are like because we're all punkers, like. But like for some of the lads, some of the lads they'd have issues with it because they'd be running late or they'd be waiting on someone to pick them up. If you the pickup guy up in the car and Joey was late, and Joey picks you up and then you both end up late, maybe your man driving the car turn around and say, I paid both of them because I picked you up late, you couldn't get here on time. Things like that, But it was generally accepted, and it brings a level of professionalism to an amateur side like we were. So for these guys that are on top whack, I think it's the bare minimum, if I'm honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark is back in the comments here. He says 40 goals. Don't forget how many more games are played in the Championship though compared to Premier League. Yeah, that's a good point, Morris.
There's 8 more.
Absolutely, Mark. I wouldn't like to be hanging my hat on just Tony Marshall if Ronaldo leaves. I don't see a situation where United will. I think if Ronaldo goes, United are going to have to go into the market and do whatever needs to be done to.
I believe United were going into the market for a second striker anyway. So if it's a thing that Ronaldo leaves instead of going in at maybe a 20, 25 million for a second striker, maybe they have to go in at 40, 45 because they're going for a guy who's going to play more games.
Yeah.
I think that's
Mark's
maybe
on
what will
here
happen.
again. Yeah. Mark's on here again. When I was with Dublin City, Roddy Collins' fine list was mad. Couldn't wear earrings to training. If you were late, you were fined. And old school laps around the pitch after training.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me see. He's got a little bit of that on here. And he would make you have a cold shower. Roddy was mad, wasn't he? He was some character, wasn't
We had
he?
the you know the glass bins that they would typically have in a bar.
Yes.
They're like about 3 foot tall and they're about
Yeah.
6 foot in length.
Yeah.
So we had two of them in our showers,
Mm.
and they would be filled with ice. So as you were out on the
Yeah.
pitch, someone would go in and
Yeah.
fill the two of them with ice,
Yeah.
and we'd have to and like the lads would be standing there, like the manager and the coach would stand there in the showers watching the
Mm.
boys go from hot to cold,
Mm.
hot to cold, hot, and then out. And you had to do a stint in each of them. Same thing. You don't do it, you're getting
Mm.
fined. Didn't see you having
Mark.
your two dips in the cold thing there, yummy, whatever.
Absolutely.
Oh Jesus.
Big season for Stevie. He's a very likeable coach and seems an utter professional. Absolutely.
I think
And safe to say, he made
he's
the big
setting
decision
standards, isn't
yesterday.
he? He's
Well, he
setting
made the
standards.
big decision yesterday, didn't he?
He did. I'm not shocked if I'm honest.
We're not shocked, but it's good that we see the decision being made. So he stripped the captaincy off Tyrone Mings, and John McGinn is now the captain. What was your thoughts on the decision?
Listen, he's looking at a guy like McGinn who he knows is integral to how Villa are going to do this season. And him getting the best, I would imagine he sees a lot of himself in a John McGinn at a different level, let's say. McGinn's a guy that goes out there, puts it all on the line. He's box to box. He's busy. He's jumping into tackles. He's trying his best to drag Aston Villa along to the level he wants to be at. And I think Stevie did that for years and years at Liverpool. When Liverpool weren't a force to be reckoned with, Stevie could have them in a conversation based on how he was able to drag them and the other lads along. I think he's looked at McGinn and thought, we need this guy. I don't necessarily think Mings is going to be one of the first names on the team sheet this season. I think with the addition of Diego Carlos, I think we could see Carlos and Conce quite a bit. And I think then it's the right decision that you're not dropping your captain then. It's got to be someone that's going to play 38 games or close on it, and that's possibly why United fans expected something different when Ten Hag came in and he told us Maguire was going to keep it.
Yeah, big shout that. Wonder will Mings be dropped for Chambers?
I personally think it'll be Conce.
Yeah,
I think he'll go with Conce and Carlos, and then Cash and Digne is what I think he'll go with. With the boy, the boy that left Marseille, Boubacar Kamara. Just playing in that, just playing as that number 6, and then you'll have a couple ahead of him and then a bit of width and stuff like that. Like Kamara's going to play, McGinn's going to play, Coutinho's going to play, Ings and Watkins are going to play. There's a lot to like about Aston Villa. A lot to like about them, I have to say.
Yeah, plus he'll have had that experience of getting that season under him and stuff like that and all, so he'll have a much better understanding around the club and stuff like that and all. Yeah, so,
I don't think they're finishing the market either.
No,
I wouldn't expect them to be finished. I think there's still a little bit around now. Obviously, brought Digne in January, which was a huge signing for them. They've got Diego Carlos, they've got the boy Kamara, they've made Coutinho's deal permanent, so they've done a lot. But I still think maybe he'll go possibly another one.
He's very shrewd in the way he goes about his business as well, isn't there? There's not much talk about it. It tends to be just kind of announced. He doesn't announce it to the world. I have
to give a bit of credit to the boy or to the gentleman Christian Pearslow there as well. I think he does a very good job for Villa. I think he did do quite a good job for Liverpool at an extremely difficult time in the club. I think he's very savvy. I think he's good, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. News coming through today. Paul Pogba looks like he's going to miss the World Cup with a knee injury. This is a massive blow, isn't it, as well, for Juventus? How much of a sickener must this be, because he could be possibly gone for most of the season as well. And on top of that, missing out on the World Cup, which is, whether you like Paul Pogba or you don't like Paul Pogba, the enigma, the dynamic that it is, and stuff like that. Like for France, and in terms of their World Cup in Qatar and stuff like that, Pogba would be a big deal in terms of that and stuff like that. So it's a massive blow about at an international level, but also for Juventus's upcoming season. He would have been vocal to or vital to their push, really, you know.
As you can see, I am heartbroken.
Yeah,
I
I was
just
thinking that.
think, I just think there's so much karma around that. It's actually scary. I think that's the football and God's going, well, that you were at a club and you wouldn't bother putting in a shift. Now you want to be somewhere. We're not going to allow you to put in a fucking shift. So fuck you, pal. And I also think, and again, another point that people will come at me later on in the year over, I think it's a great thing for France that he doesn't go. Because I think with the likes of a Kamara, with the likes of a Camavinga, and with what France have in that midfield, for a guy like Pogba to, to get a place every single time without maybe, showing what he needs to show in between those international games. Because he can be as bad as he wants at a club level. And when it comes to France, he's on the team sheet and you're kind of going, well, how is that happening? And I know people will say he's been very good for France. But surely, God, someone is looking at his form in between. I think this frees up a spot for some of those younger guys to go out and really put a stamp on it. And I would feel a lot better about France's chances of winning the World Cup now with him out.
Something we spoke about on Monday. La Liga's president has come out and warned Barcelona over this whole situation with Frankie de Jong and these wage demands amid the Manchester United saga. I don't know whether this had come about because there had been a wave of discontent out there growing on the socials about La Liga's role in this and why weren't they taking a more proactive role in what the hell is going on at Barcelona and all. And it seems they've come out today and issued a warning to Barcelona. But I wonder, is it legit or is it a token gesture to be seen to be doing something, if you like? What was your thoughts on it?
Well, when I saw it, I kind of thought, those two fat lads spoke about that on Tuesday night, didn't they? That was the first thing I thought of. And then afterwards I thought, there's an air of both about that, isn't there? They have to be seen to come out and say something. If not, then people like us accuse them, or people on Twitter or people on Instagram accuse them of a double standard where it comes to Barcelona, whereas it was a different side, things go a different way. So I think he had to come out and say something. But again, I think a lot of it is lip service. I don't necessarily believe too much that comes out of this guy's mouth when it's regards to Barcelona and Real Madrid. For me, actions would speak much louder than words. Him saying it and him doing anything, to rock the boat with Barca, I think are two different things,
Yeah, absolutely. Ian Wright the other night after the big England win to reach the final, he put out a kind of a war cry there to say that at schoolgirl level now they should have much more access to football, and like what the England team is doing and stuff like that, the Lionesses and all that sort of stuff. They should be inspiring young girls now to come through and want to play football and stuff like that. And they don't have enough access to it. And that schools should be including it more freely and available to schoolgirls at this stage. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, what have you seen sort of here? I mean, I know in my own club down here, Greystones United, we have so many girls' teams.
Yeah.
It's huge. But I'm not
Yeah.
too sure. I'm not too sure at a school level.
No, I'm not 100% sure, obviously, at school level either. But what I will say is the two places I spend most of my time is at home in Raheny. And they have a great girl set up. I spoke to you before. We used to have, Katie McCabe played on our women's team for a couple of years when they were in that Premier League of the ladies football over here. The underage section at Raheny in for the girls is phenomenal. Really, really is. And the rest of my time is spent in work in Ratout, and Ratout as well have a huge underage system for the girls, which is great to see. I have two girls in camp at the minute, and they rock up every day in their football kits. These two girls in their different football kits, one rocked up in a Pat's training top one day, and then the next day she was in an Arsenal jersey, and then You know, the other kid was in one of the pink FAI ones, and all on the and I was asking them, so girls play a bit of football. She said, yeah, we play for Rathout Hearts and stuff like that. And they said, like, you know, we'd love to go on and play maybe for Shells or play for, like, you know, one of the big ladies teams and stuff like that, and we'd love maybe to play for Ireland. And it was just lighting me up. I was just like, this is brilliant, because they spoke about it exactly how the
Yeah.
boys speak about it. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what it should be. We've got to have that equality across the board, and he's right, you know. He's not just Ian right, he is right,
Yeah.
and they should be given way more access
Yeah.
to the facilities and stuff like that, and the time needed. You
Yeah.
know, like, you know, well, I certainly know anyway. When I went to school, we made it to a senior Leinster. We won Leinster, and we were beaten in the All Ireland semi final down in Buckley Park in Kilkenny by Douglas Hall, who won the final by, like, 1-5 in the final. They beat us 4-3 in the All Ireland semi. But, like, up until to say we got to the Leinster final and we got to the All Ireland semi final, like, our teachers had us in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before school. Then sometimes we do a bit at lunchtime, and sometimes we do a bit after school. There was days where we were having 3 training sessions, and we'd work on, you know, we go in the morning, we do some fitness work, we go do our lessons, we go out at lunchtime, and we do some set piece or stuff for an hour, and then you go back afterwards and you work on, you know, some little small sided games or stuff. And now I went to an all boys school, but I don't imagine that happened in the girls' schools, and that's
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely. Big up, Craig. Thanks for joining us there in the chat, big man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Craig.
Morris, it's unfortunate we didn't qualify, as it would be highlighted more here in the media and social media. Yeah, absolutely. Spot on there.
There's a big
Uh,
qualifier coming up, isn't there, in Tallaght Stadium with Finland? I think if they beat Finland, they qualify from the World Cup, if I'm right. But I have been keeping abreast with it a little bit. And as far as I know, if they beat Finland, I think the game actually sold out. Tickets went on sale yesterday or the day before, and the tickets sold out in a day, which, again, I thought was brilliant. But if they beat Finland, I think it's enough to either get them a playoff spot or get them automatic qualification to the World Cup next year, which would be huge.
Yeah, Mark's back on again. Separate boys and girls teams in schools, but only in the last 5 years. Before that, it was a mix of girls playing in the boys teams. Great setups for clubs. Mark Rutherford runs the Luke and Girls Academy. Yeah, big shout out there, Mark, and big shout out to Mark Rutherford as well, friend of the show. He's been on with me and stuff like that. Absolute gentleman. Desi, of course, Desi Baker running Rosemount. One they are doing stellar jobs. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
Desi and Mark Rutherford used to play on opposite wings for Shells at one stage.
That's right.
And we're electric. At that stage,
Yeah.
I was following Shells around the country. We used to go to all the games, you know, get the buses and everything. Quality, great time, really great time.
Mark just confirmed there. Yeah, it's Thursday, 1st of September versus Finland
Yeah.
and Tallaght. Massive game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's you know, Roydie, he's such an emotional person as well.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you can't fault him for it. He bleeds England through and through. And like, you could see him cheering on England if there was an England team winning a marbles contest or something like that. He just loves his country. And hats off to him. And he was very emotional the other night talking about it as well. He was very sincere in his wording and stuff like that and all, you know. So it was great to see.
I think he's a good guy generally, isn't he? You know, he has a couple of strange opinions and things, but he's very inoffensive, and he's you know, as you said, his heart's in the right place. But I have to say, like, the way the England fans have gotten behind those Lionesses is incredible. I mean, night one, they played Austria at Old Trafford. Old Trafford was sold out.
Yeah.
Now, like, let's just put that into perspective, right? Old Trafford holding 75,000 was sold out. Now, yeah, let's not forget there was obviously price caps and stuff like that for the tickets. But not too far down the road, you've one of, if not the best team in Europe playing football, right? At Man City.
Yeah.
And they can't sell out Premier League games with some of the squads they have. Like, you know, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, when you put it in perspective like that, absolutely.
You know?
Let's move on. Something that came out today. Our friend Neymar It was hiding his face there. Apparently, he's going to go on trial. Apparently, 4 weeks before the Qatar World Cup on alleged corruption and fraud over his move from Santos to Barcelona back in 2013. It's only 4 weeks before the Qatar World Cup, which is quite it's kind of the attention that say the Brazilian team doesn't need in their preparation for Qatar. What was you thinking on this when you're saying it was kind of this came out of nowhere, didn't it? Really, I didn't see this anywhere beforehand. Kind of just sort of cropped up, didn't it?
No, and there's always been stuff in the background with certain players regarding tax issues and stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's happened with Messi and guys like this who played in Spain, where the tax system is different and stuff. But for him to be called up on charges is huge, really, because there's an element of, well, something went on here and you were involved in it. And for one of the biggest footballers in the world, you know, it's not great to see on a CV at all, is it? Again, 4 weeks
Mm.
before a World Cup, it shines the wrong kind of a light on him and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, he's talking about Ridey there. Ridey was in the Black Forge a few weeks ago. We seen the clips and stuff like that. It was gas.
That's right, yeah.
Looked like he was having a great time and stuff like that. No, Morris, we don't think this is what the trial is about. Something totally different.
No, but don't forget, he
Yeah,
never misses the sister's birthday, whatever's going on.
that's it. Absolutely.
He's either
Um,
injured or he gets the bookable, the booking suspension for the sister's birthday every single season. That's
that's it.
scandalous.
Let's talk about this. We got another clip from this there the other day, which was really, really good, all about high performance and all this kind of thing. Have you seen the new clip?
No, I haven't seen the new clip.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it was really good. The new clip, he had all the guys in the room, right, and he had the whiteboard out.
I have seen
And
it.
he,
I have seen it.
yeah,
I thought that was the
yeah,
previous one. No, I have seen it. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. But it looked. Are you looking forward to this?
Oh, massively,
Yeah.
massively. I have to say, like, I'm
Did,
gonna. This will be food and drink for me for weeks and weeks and weeks. I have to say, I'll be rewatching this to see did I
yeah,
miss anything, or having another look and watching the kind of the body language and seeing who he leans on and who he doesn't lean on. And I think that for Arsenal fans, this is gonna be a massive eye opener into what goes on at your club. The same way,
yeah,
the Spurs one was.
yeah.
And I know
Absolutely.
Spurs took a massive hammering for
Mm,
in how a lot of things were dealt with,
mm.
and obviously, Danny Rose is going in and stuff like that and talking, and
Deli Ali.
Ericsson going in and Deli
Yeah.
Ali, and there's so many things, and you just thought,
Mm,
like, in your wildest dreams, you could never imagine some of what went on in it.
yeah.
It was
Absolutely.
deadly.
Yeah. Mark's just back there. He says, "No, what happened to other footballers? Neymar will get a fine and a slap on the wrist." Yeah, that's kind of what we expect, but it's just
Yeah,
when it comes out of nowhere like that, it's always interesting. Morris is going. It was madness, and then he says, "I'm living for it." He's living for this documentary.
yeah,
With what you've seen so far, what way do you think it's going to? What way do you think it's going to go? So far, it looks like it's painting Arteta in a very good light. So far. Now
yeah.
we've only seen. I think
I
what have
was
we
gonna
seen? We've
say
seen
it's.
sort of 3 clips so far. I think it is, or
You
something.
don't think we can necessarily make a judgment on how it's going to portray anyone with what we've seen so far.
Mm,
It's literally been snippets. Um, I think there's times when he'll be painted as the hero, and there's times he'll be painted as the villain. But that was the
mm,
same for Jose at Spurs. I think Jose at times looked unbelievable in the Spurs one, and you just thought, God, this guy he's the fucking man. And then there was other times, and I just thought to myself, Jesus Christ, man, that guy is like a cancer in that club.
yeah,
It was so difficult to find an even keel.
yeah, absolutely. Morris reckons it's probably going to be about 50-50. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it goes out. But yeah, I think this is the one I've kind of looked forward to the most because of the build up and stuff like that, and because there's kind of an energy at the forefront of it and stuff like that and all, and because the Aubameyang stuff is kind of up in the air, no one kind of really fully understands what went down. So if that gets displayed out there and stuff like that, it'll be interesting to see what actually happened and stuff like that.
He
Mark's
looks.
back. He wants to know what.
I don't know whether you've seen Aubameyang at the minute. Have you?
No.
Looks a very forlorn individual at Barcelona. I don't know
Yeah.
whether he is anticipating the release of this himself, because it may not paint him in a good light, because he looks like a guy with the weight of the world on his shoulders at the minute. Now, it might just be that he thought he was going to play through the middle, and now all of a sudden he's on the left-hand side because Lewandowski's there, and he's really and rightly pissed off. But hey.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark is back on. He says, when is the behind the scenes upper tier doc going to happen? Look, if Amazon want to pay me and Dazzler and yourself, Mark, a few quid, it's not a problem at all. They can come and park cameras in my gaff anytime they want.
Come and park cameras in my arse that they're paying for it. I'm happy out, man.
Absolutely. Stevie's in the chat. Welcome, Stephen. Evening, guys. Just on the Devil's Toe Challenge. My word, spiciest thing ever. How are you, mate? I'm all good. I'm still a little bit under the weather, Stevie, but I'm pressing on. I'm getting the shows done. That's all I can do at the moment. Tell us what this Devil's Toe Challenge is. I know he posted a picture of it earlier on Twitter.
It's got to sound like some sort of a chili or pepper or something like that, is it? Or?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. All right. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I wouldn't even do that. You know what I mean? That blow my mind. Now I'm not a spicy guy at all, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not an overly spicy guy either. Like I would struggle to eat very many things out of an Indian restaurant, because of that kind of spice would be way too much for me. Now I have to be honest, and I'm not a huge fan of milk, so I can't even cool it down.
Yeah, I seen a TikTok there of a guy in a Jeep there the other day, and he took out like a small gummy, and it was a chili one as well, and he just popped it in his mouth, and within 20 seconds his head was about to explode. He jumped out of the Jeep, ran over and dived into a lake. So yeah, I'm not too sure. But good to see you on, Stephen. Appreciate you coming on. Would you boys like to see one of your clubs?
One on your clubs, a documentary.
Oh yeah, an Amazon documentary. Yeah, I think I would. Do you know what it is? I suppose. Our club seems to be very settled and very nice, and a very nice group, and I think it could be very interesting to get an insight into Klopp and into Pep Linders and stuff like that and all. But I think if you want the Danny Rose and the Dele Alli and the Aubameyang kind of thing, the Liverpool one might be a little bit boring for viewers, because I think there's a certain harmony there where they know that Jurgen Klopp rules the roost there with Pep Linders, and that's the way it is, and most guys don't go outside of that, but there seems to be a harmony there. I think these documentaries are more suited to if there's been a bit of upheaval, or if there's a bit of a boy in the group who wants to create a bit of havoc. I think for your club, probably, Darren, last season might have been a good one, as the Ollie stuff got a bit toxic.
Absolutely.
And then you moved into the Ranić stuff. That could have been very, very interesting for an Amazon documentary.
And the Dean Hendersons and the Jesse Lingards and the Paul Pogbas and the Cristiano Ronaldos.
Yeah.
I think that could have been epic.
Yeah, but I think you over the next 12 months as well, with Eric Ten Hag there as well, everyone knows that he's the man, he's the leader as well. There's a settling there. People are going to row in, or they're very quickly going to be gone. So I think he could be in the same situation where you might want to look at it for the training and the sophistication of how he runs a ship and stuff like that. But again, for some of the viewers who want to see a trattle of Danny Rose or a Dele Alli or something like that, it might be a little bit boring for you, that kind of way.
And I think the same could be said for City as well. I think there's a lot of harmony there at City with Guardiola. I think that would be an extreme. I would describe Liverpool and Man City's version of that as being extremely boring, because there's no battle for supremacy when you look at the coaching staff and when you look at the alpha males in the dressing room and stuff like that. I don't think there's any competition, and I think it's you're asleep after 7 minutes.
Yeah, I think when Amazon does these documentaries, shit needs to be going down, doesn't it?
And in fairness to them, they've hit the nail on the head with Spurs and Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would think the next place, I'm going to tell you where the next place to go is. The next place Amazon need to rock up and make a documentary is Goodison Park.
I was about to say Everton, yeah.
Because that is a place in turmoil. Yeah. Absolute turmoil. From the ownership at the top of the club to the fans, to Frank, to the players, that would be
Yeah.
Amazon gold. You're here to hear
Or I'd
first.
say, or do you know what would have been cool as well? I'd say last season if they had to follow Sean Dyche at Burnley, because I'd say Dyche doesn't mince his words either as well. I'd say Dyche would be electric on an Amazon original.
But to a degree, I'd say again at Burnley there's a lot of harmony. You know,
Yeah,
although
but you know when things are going wrong,
yeah,
when things are going wrong, and you feel that pressure and stuff like that, and we know how he can be a hothead at a second. You
absolutely.
know what I mean? So he could be a good one. So, Stevens back in again. 9 million on the Scotfield scale, 4 times
Scoville,
hotter than the Scoville scale. Sorry,
yeah,
4 times hotter than the hottest chili in the world. You have to have it in your mouth for 5 minutes. I lasted 5:34. Fuck me, fair fucks to you, man. Absolutely, your head must feel like a hot water bottle at this stage. Um, Marcus back says, Stephen, did you eat my mother-in-law's toe? Devil's toe, yeah,
oh
absolutely.
Jesus.
Morris or Newcastle with all the Saudi stuff. That's one thing I wanted to ask you. That's segued us nice, Morris. Really segued us nice. Word coming out today that Newcastle are taking out 140 million loan to fund Eddie Howe's new forward search. And the idea of taking out a loan like this was to navigate financial fair play. Because I was thinking when I read it first, I said Newcastle taking out a loan of 140 million.
Yeah.
Did they not do their due diligence on these guys? I thought these guys were the richest guys in the world. But very clever in the way they're doing things.
I think
They've figured
what we
out things
call is
quickly.
creative accountancy.
Absolutely. What
We
what
wouldn't
was your
know
what?
anything. We wouldn't know anything about that as two business owners.
No, well, we certainly wouldn't at that level anyway. That's for sure.
No.
But yeah, it's a very they've obviously done their homework, haven't they? They're not they've been very clever Newcastle so far this season, haven't they? They've made some good signings. They haven't been put over a barrel. They've walked away at times from potential targets when people went in with stupid money and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they definitely need a forward, don't they?
Two.
Two.
I would say two. I would say they need another one in a wider position and a central striker. And you know, obviously they've got a little bit there in Wilson and St. Maximin and stuff, and Fraser maybe, and you know they got very little from the boy Chris Wood. I wouldn't at all be surprised if he ended up back at his old stomping ground, Burnley, quite soon.
Okay.
I personally think that would be a fit where they could loan him, and I think Burnley would be delighted to have him in the Championship again. Seeing they've got the fee and Newcastle have stayed in the league, Burnley have gone down. They could loan Wood back to Burnley for a nominal sort of a fee. I think it works for everyone. Frees up a bit of space where you can get a central striker and maybe another wide player in, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We probably want to give a shout out as well. Sebastian Hallier's operation to remove a cancerous tumour was a success. Borussia Dortmund have confirmed, so that's absolutely wonderful news.
Yeah.
And we wish him all the best in his recovery. We had mentioned it, I think, last week when it was announced and stuff like that. So
I'm absolutely not laughing at Haller, by the way. It's GP
yeah, no.
Productions and the just in case anyone thinks, you know, serious topic and your man's there giggling. That's not the case. This is Morris trying to trip us
They
up
need
as usual.
competition for
Yeah.
Shelby. Imagine if Shelby comes out and has a good season.
I think there's more chance of you coming out and having a good season than Shelby.
I always have a good season. Let's move on and have a quick chat about the Community Shield.
Not in fantasy football, you don't.
Fantasy football is not my thing. I'm just a passenger. I don't have the dedication, as they say, to it. Let's have a chat about the Community Shield. Two teams that have had very indifferent pre-seasons, let's say. We played against Salzburg yesterday. Looked horrendous in the first half, with a few little sort of caveats of some good play, but really passing was way off. Team looked disjointed, and then they rolled out the guns in the second half, and as we've seen in last season, struggled again when a team goes ahead to break down that kind of block that they deploy.
Yeah.
And it looked at yesterday again as well. Would lead you to believe that some things still haven't kind of changed somewhat. No disrespect to Salzburg, they're a good team, with some really good players, but we really struggled yesterday. So it wasn't a great preparation really for Saturday.
No, and I suppose, scoreline apart, I think Liverpool would have they would they would have more of an issue with losing 1-0 to Salzburg than they would losing 4-0 to United. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
I think the Salzburg game will have hurt them a little bit, but I think it's come at a good time for them. I think,
mm,
I'd expected to see a serious side put out at the weekend in the Community Shield.
yeah,
For me, if I'm honest, I really only see is missing one thing as a team right now. And I
yeah,
feel like you're lacking a little bit in that number 10 position with someone very, very creative. I love the idea of Thiago and Fabinho in midfield. I love Salah and Diaz on the wings. I like Nunez up front. I just feel the back four and the goalkeeper look after themselves. Konate, Van Dijk, Trent,
mm,
and Robbo. I think you need a 10. I really do. Because I think when you go into games like that against teams that play the low block like that, you've got to have somebody that can maybe, chink in and out of a couple of guys and pop a little ball on a play for someone. I
yeah,
just kind of feel like it's not the width that you need, because I feel like there's a lot of that.
yeah,
It's just something that can go through the middle, a la a Philippe Coutinho, somebody like
yeah,
that, you know.
mm,
And I feel like if you could put somebody like that in place, it would help you greatly. That for me, I look at the back four, solid. I look at up front. I like a lot of what goes on. The keeper and the sub keeper and all of that. I think that midfield, it doesn't excite me majorly. I think you definitely need a 10. I think in the next season or so, you'll need an 8 as well. And
yeah,
obviously, they've been linked with Bellingham massively. I think Bellingham will be a great signing for Liverpool. I think he'd be a great signing for anybody, by the way. But I think he'd be a great signing for Liverpool. But I still think even with a Fabinho and a Bellingham, I want someone that can unlock a door.
yeah, yeah.
And
No, I totally agree
I
with you.
just feel like
Mm.
that's what you're missing at the minute. You know?
Yeah, and the thing about it is when you get into that kind of block situation there, like what we had yesterday, it's repetitive down the wings all the time. So it's so
Yeah.
easy to structurally set up to defend, and it becomes a kind of a little bit one trick.
A
And we
little bit.
seen it,
Yeah.
yesterday's second half actually reminded me of the second
The
half against
Spurs game.
Chelsea at the Anfield, the Chelsea game at Anfield, where they were down to
Right.
10
Yeah.
men. And
It reminded me of the Chelsea or the Liverpool game with Spurs, the
yeah,
1-1 draw near the end of the
mm,
season. Same thing. You're just thinking
yeah,
something. I want to see something different. I want to see, because obviously
yeah,
Conte put in that low block. They were playing on the counter attack completely.
yeah,
They troubled on the counter attack. You guys had so much possession
mm,
and just weren't able to unlock the door. And
yeah,
you did well to get the goal, obviously, to make it 1-1. But after the
mm,
goal went in, there was nothing. It was about 13 minutes of repetitive strain injury, pretty much like where I'll
yeah,
do the same again. I'll keep
yeah,
doing it, and I'll keep doing it. Now, I think Nunez brings you something different, as in, I think this time you'll see maybe, Trent and Robbo, the ball goes out to them and they'll get that ball in first time.
mm,
And you'll have a presence in there like a Nunez who will, he'll look to get his head in it and stuff like that. I feel like that's something you didn't have last season.
mm.
But,
What
obviously,
what did what did you make? Here's a question for you. What did you make yesterday? It was kind of weird. If you assume that we're going to have Luis Diaz, Mo Salah, and Nunez up the middle, um, in that front three, what did you make of yesterday's setup? Nunez is he's struggling somewhat to bed in, and find his feet at the moment a little bit. Um, but he went out yesterday and he didn't play with the two boys. So he
yeah,
played first half with
yeah,
Carvalho and Harvey Elliott,
yeah.
and then he was taken off, and then on came Diaz, and on came Mo Salah and stuff like that. Whereas I would have thought you would want those three guys playing football together as much as you can to get that
To be
synergy
building
and
up, yeah, to be building up a relationship, you know what I mean?
yeah,
certainly, I thought it was a strange decision.
Yeah,
We spoke
yeah.
about
I
the
just
girl, Serena Vigman, the England manager, the England Lionesses manager, and she didn't change the team for that third game in the group, which was a dead rubber. They'd already qualified. She wanted continuity. She wanted guys, or she wanted girls to strike up partnerships with the guy or the player next to them that they could, bring to the next game. I find that's difficult when you don't put all the pieces in the puzzle at the same time. Like for me, I personally feel like Liverpool should have come out with their best 11 last night, went 1 or 2-0 up before half time, and changed the whole team for the second half and put the 11 out in the second half, to
yeah,
defend the 2-0 lead, so to speak.
yeah. I just thought if you're trying to get the boy a bit of confidence and stuff like that, and maybe pick up a goal or two and stuff like that, and get him going. Um, and there's no disrespect to Fabio Carvalho, who I thought yesterday was really, really good. I thought he was actually so good yesterday. I thought he was too good and operating at a level above what was around him, and that's
He was
what
your
really
he
what
was
the
your
problem
best
was.
player overall in the game.
Yeah, he was excellent. Like, and I know
Yeah,
Harvey was doing bits on the other side as well. But if your main front three is going to be those three guys, like you can imagine when Mane, Firmino, and Salah were at their peak and stuff like that, those
yeah,
guys probably trained together all the time.
yeah,
They mixed up drills all the time. They played together all the time. They built that up over that time. That's how they know these things.
absolutely.
And I just thought that was a weird one. In terms of City, what have you made of City so far pre-season?
Yeah, it hasn't been spectacular. You know,
Yeah,
City have they've just been City,
City.
really, haven't they? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just picking up results here and there, and just at times, not that I get bored of City. I'm extremely appreciative to be around at a time where I'm watching a team like City and how good they are. But at
yeah.
times, it can be a little bit monotonous. It's just the same. It's the same.
Mm.
It's the same. Now, albeit they're very, very good at it, and they always get the goal.
Yeah.
You never imagine they won't score here. They
Mm.
always get it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, listen, I think Pep doesn't look at pre-season the way some people do. I think for Pep, it's very much about getting minutes in the legs. It's very much about getting guys a touch of the ball and stuff like that. But it's not
Mm.
necessarily about having them all out there. I think he's quite protective of a lot of the bigger players. You see guys only playing 10 here, 20 here, and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, listen, I'm really looking forward to it. I think Morris hit the nail on the head a minute ago. Just it's what you have up at the minute. All preseason goes out the window for the current opener, absolutely. And we want to see two teams go out and really have a go,
Put on a
knowing
good
that the
game.
league kicks off next week and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Mm.
And we're gonna be
It's,
there. Yes.
it's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting the league coming up and stuff like that, isn't it?
I am so excited for Sunday week to be in Old Trafford for Eric Ten Hag's first competitive game as
Mm.
Man United manager. Like, I am so hyped. It's unbelievable. I think I'll never get there. I imagine we travel over on the Saturday morning, but imagine on the Saturday night I'm going to have a few drinks because I won't sleep otherwise. I'm that excited. I haven't been that excited for a game of football in a long time because, as a United fan, we haven't had an awful lot to look forward to. I am buzzing beyond belief to see this side start to lay
Yeah.
the foundations of what we hope is going to be going forward.
Yeah. Morris in the comments here. Oh dear, there's been some Thomas Partey Snapchats and WhatsApp messages leaked the last hour that don't look good in regards to the alleged story a few weeks back. We'll have to wait and see and let that settle and see what it means. A lot of that stuff can come out and it may or may not be legit.
There
So
was
we
there was a very strange story that came out early this morning. I don't know whether you've seen it or not,
no,
but it was the Kerry football team. Did you see this video?
no,
So the video came out from the Kerry football team celebrations after winning the All Ireland,
yeah,
and they seem to be in a pub. There's a load of lads, and they're all standing up, jumping around, and they're singing about being on the bag, fucking on the right.
yeah,
So this goes on, and it seems as if when we heard it, everyone went, "Oh God," you know. And then they actually shared a slightly longer version of the video
Yeah.
later on in the day. And as it happens, the Kerry chairman of selectors is a guy called like Paddy the Bag O'Sullivan, right?
Okay.
Right. So they were referencing him, and they all had their bank cards in their hands, and they were referencing the fact that the tab is now finished from the Kerry County Board. See all the lads with the
Okay.
bank cards and all these lads shouting about the bag,
Yeah.
but from everyone outside it looked a certain way, and
Yeah.
actually it was something completely different.
Yeah. That's why I'm
So
always so careful on that stuff.
these snippets, I
Mm.
want to see more. And listen, I've said it before on the on the Mason Greenwood thing. We don't want to talk about it too much, but
Mm.
it's a snippet into what happened. It's not the whole conversation. It's not the
Mm.
video. It's not evidence that we saw somebody lay a punch on somebody. It's not the whole thing. Everything has to be brought into context, and we need to know the story around it and stuff like that. And I like to feel, or I like to feel like it should be innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. Um. That's it. That's everything I have to cover. Ain't got much else unless you've something else you want to add or something to add in. I don't know if you've anything there. Um.
No, just obviously keeping an eye on the transfer situation.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, just keeping an eye. Obviously, Everton have managed to dip their toe into the market a bit, haven't they?
Yeah.
They managed to. They obviously brought in James Tarkowski
Mm.
earlier in the window.
Yeah.
They brought in the boy Ruben Vinagre, who was on loan last season at Wolves. He's come in
Yeah.
from Sporting. And this evening, then they've just got the boy Dwight McNeil, again, ex-Man United player. Good, tricky kind of a winger, McNeil. Really, really good player. I like him a lot now.
Yeah.
They've just done a deal with Burnley for him for 20 million. We
Oh.
spoke about Burnley last week or the week before, and about how many outs there was at Burnley. This is continuing. Burnley are going to really, really struggle if they
Yeah.
don't start making a couple of additions here, I have to say. McNeil is gone, Tarkovsky's gone, Mee is on the way to Brentford, the boy Collins has gone to Wolves, the lad Weghorst has gone to Turkey on loan, Chris Wood has just left in January, Maxwell Cornet more than likely will be out the door at Burnley before the season starts. Vincent Kompany has a very difficult job here.
Yeah.
It may be something I look at, is what their odds are like to go down again.
Yeah.
And I know Kompany did a good job at Anderlecht and stuff like that. But you'll think at the minute with the squad they have,
Mm.
they're going to be in trouble. That they've made a
Yeah.
huge addition in the boy, Josh Cullen, the
Mm.
Irish lad. He came in from Anderlecht. They signed him.
Mm.
I think it's a great boy. I think
Yeah.
he's been unbelievable in a green jersey. But I think as well they need goals. They need firepower.
Championship is so tough, isn't it? As well, like it's just so
And again,
tough.
Morris mentioned it earlier. You're going from 38 games in the Premier League to 46 in the Championship. You've got worse pitches, worse facilities to play at. Like this is going to be very tough. I could absolutely see them ending up like a Sunderland and going on that roll and ending up in League One.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a pleasure as always sharing the screen with you. This has been Thursday Tier Talk. If you want to contact the show, you'll find us out there. We're on all the socials. Also, before you go, if you could smash that like button, really, really important for the show to light up the likes if you've been there watching the show.
If you watch our shows and you like it, share it with your mates. Stick it in the WhatsApp group and just send it out and go, hey lads, I watch these guys every now and again. They're really good. They've a bit of crack or whatever. And maybe give them a sub and stuff like that. Because, we do this quite a bit. We spend a lot of our spare time, let's say, podcasting and stuff like that. But it can be a bit disheartening at times when you're working your socks off like we do. And maybe we don't necessarily get the feedback or it's difficult. So I would urge people to to go out and smash that like and subscribe button. We would appreciate it greatly, and it'll cost you
Absolutely.
nothing.
Absolutely. This is the thing. The things that we're asking people to do, there is absolutely no cost associated with it at all.
Yeah.
Big thank you to everyone that was in the chat. We really appreciate your company during these games or these shows. I will definitely bring a lot more energy next week. Just this week has been an absolute killer for me. It's knocked me for six. And we will be back again on Monday night, I presume. Bank holiday Monday as well. We'll be back Monday night with a transfer show.
We may wait till Tuesday.
Yeah, may wait till Tuesday because it's a bank holiday, so we'll see.
Not because it's the bank holiday. May have to wait till Tuesday because it's my wife's birthday.
That's fair enough then. That's
my wife's birthday.
We can accept that as an excuse.
Accommodate on Tuesday evening, but she will see. Yeah. She might be at home with a glass of something red in her hand, and she might say, "You know what? Off you thought and do your podcast." So we'll see.
We'll see. The beauty of this is if you smash the subscribe and bell notification button, you will know. You won't even have to ask us.
Absolutely.
Until next time, my friend, a pleasure.
As always, brother.